Hello and welcome, everybody. My name is Don Putkela.
And I'm Angela Putkela.
And this is Welcome to Livingston, our local podcast where we bring in companies from Livingston County and the surrounding areas and just talk to them about their business, what they have going on, and what they bring to the community.
Absolutely. And we're excited because not long ago we were talking about, helping maybe an aging parent downsize. And these guys are a great resource. So who we have coming in today is Mike and Austin.
With Mitten Junk Removal. So thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, so we were real excited about that. I know the topic comes up with us quite often with our clients, just on where to get started and all that stuff that you collect in your house over such a long period of time.
Pretty relevant,
you know. So why don't we start off with you guys telling us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about the company.
I'll let Austin start because it was kind of his brainchild out of the gate.
Okay, well, my name's Austin. Mike and I are cousins through marriage. I married Michael's cousin. And so we've known each other for about 15 years. We're from Michigan, both from up north, are both settled in this area now. And we're a little bit burned out a few years ago, both with what we were doing and looking for some different options. And we were having Friday night bonfires with the family every Friday, and sitting around the bonfire, we were like, if we could figure something out, like we could definitely work together. Like our skill sets and personalities match and intertwine pretty well. So a few ideas later, we found out about junk removal and thought it was a space we could really bring some, bring a good
service to,
service
right?
to,
Right.
And kind of step it up a notch from what people might expect when they call a junk removal company. So that was about 2 years ago, and we've been running and doing jobs for about a year and a half now and growing every day. It's been great.
Yeah. And from both of us, I mean, we both came out of the service industry. So, Austin was in heating and cooling and has a lot of mechanical knowledge. And I came from retail, and interacting with customers, providing a great customer experience. Like that's what it's all about in both of those industries. So, when we were looking around at businesses, number one, where we would have a relatively low barrier to entry, and two, like where can we really differentiate ourselves and provide a great customer experience? And I mean, we do junk removal, but we're not all about junk removal. We're all about taking the weight off of people and helping them through tough situations and giving them their space back. And at the end of the day, giving them time back. It's what do we get? 24 good Saturdays here in Michigan through the summer.
It's pretty close.
Yeah, you want to spend all that time taking care of your own junk, or you want to call us and have us have it handled in a couple hours and be out of there.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, how do you get started in that? Because I know as homeowners and then as realtors helping our clients and such, when you go to start to get rid of stuff, you have no idea how complicated that can be sometimes. Just if you want to get rid of a TV or you have paint in your garage and all the other things that go with it. Where do you guys start with that? I mean, you go from having an idea to like, hey, we're going to come into the house and there's all these things to take out.
How difficult was it to kind of determine for some of those hard to remove items, where to dispose of them? And
yeah, I think a lot of it just came to the research that was done on the front end. We started off watching YouTube videos of other people that do this. I mean, that's how we got into this.
Right.
Was there's a lot of them out there, and there's a lot of great information out there for a new business owner. Like you don't have to necessarily meet a person. I mean, you can digest that and say, okay, how does that apply to us? So Austin did a ton of the legwork on the front end in terms of saying, okay, number one, where's a landfill that we can go to and actually dispose of things? Number two, where are all of our donation centers in the area that we're going to be operating in? Because we like to keep things out of the landfill whenever we can. Yeah. Number three is where are our local recyclers where we can handle the recyclables and stuff like that. And TVs, tires, like all of that kind of comes into play. So we have a whole bunch of different places that will go depending on what we have and what our schedules look like and how we can weave it in. We got a pretty good line on all the Goodwills throughout Livingston County and the other counties that we service too. So it just is about planning. And then once you plan through it and once we've done this for a few months, like you wind up going to the same places and seeing the same stuff over and over and over again. Like we see a ton of TVs, we see a ton of couches, so we know what to do with those now.
Right.
That's excellent. And it seems like a great resource. It's nice to know that you guys do a lot with the donations and the recycling and really know which places.
Yeah, and when they're available.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the big thing too, right? Because I know from our aspect, you finish a garage sale and you have stuff that you want to get rid of. So you load car up and you get there and it's no donations today.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Since COVID, they've really kind of limited their hours, and everybody cleaned out during COVID as well. So all the resale shops and secondhand stores are all overflowing with things still. So they're limited hours. They have limited help too, which a lot of it comes down to with our recycle centers and stuff like that too. We use Recycle Livingston out in Howell. They're open for a few hours on like Wednesday and Saturdays. Always looking for volunteers, but it's a very limited thing. So that's something we're excited to try to maybe in the future help bring some more of those recycling resources to the community as well. So
Awesome.
A lot of folks don't realize that there's no like public funding that goes into recycling, like beyond your trash collection. Like it's all volunteer based. So, that's something that as we grow and expand and get involved in more things, like we'd like to be able to bring more attention to that because, I think a lot of people want to recycle and want to do the right thing and want to help the environment, but it's tough when the resources are so limited and when you can do that, and we're an eased society, right? Like we need easy. So
Right. Yeah. No, and that's very, our oldest son, he's very big into recycling and such. And even with that, what do I do with items? Where do I put the items? So when someone calls you up and they say, hey, I want you to come clean out my house or I have things to pick up, how does that process work with you guys?
you want to take this one?
Sure. So we start our conversation. We try to control like the flow of information for them, very transparent just from the get-go, just so they know what to expect from us and, that we can pre-qualify anything coming through as well. So a lot of times it starts with a phone call, but we make it easy for people to connect with us. So phone call, text messages, our email. We have online booking on our website, like Facebook and Instagram messengers. So we take calls from all these different areas. Google My Business, we get lots of messages through that too. So we try to meet everybody where they are. If it's something simple, a few items, things like that, we try to have them just send us some pictures or get an idea of what's going on with it. We explain all of our pricing, up front over the phone. We want, them to know what to expect when we come out there. A lot of places won't do that, and then they'll just try to sell when they're there. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, they're already here. I guess this is what's happening now. But we try to make sure everybody knows what to expect of us from we get there. For bigger jobs, we like to walk through the property if we're doing house cleanouts or estate sale cleanouts. We like to walk through the property with them, what's going, what's not going. Sometimes there's, families taking this or keeping this, or that's going to be picked up by a donation center. So we'll walk through, have them put sticky notes or like blue painter's tape on what's keeping, and kind of see what they want done and
a lot of
kind of just
coordination
size it
there.
up. Yeah. So we can build the trailer, we have our empty trailers out there. We can kind of, as we walk through, build the trailer of what we think, how much is all the space going to take up. Then we go from there with it. We give them that, that estimate of what it's going to be. And if they're ready for it, most days, if it's not a huge project, most days we can start right away when we're there if the quote's okayed. So we try to make it easy. And especially people are busy. People have busy schedules. So we don't need to come out 2 or 3 times to do a job most of the time. We want to
get her done.
Come out because a lot of people are, staying home from work or coming home early to meet us out there. So we respect everybody's time. We want to, take care of it all at once. There's
awesome.
No reason they need to take 2 days off of work to get,
exactly.
a small amount of stuff taken out.
Yeah, and I like that you make it such a customized experience, because that's one of the things we find in real estate is that each person's situation is so different from one to the next.
100%.
That you're able to tailor what their needs are, even in terms of being able just to remove 1 or 2 large items. It seems like you guys have the ability for that.
We do a lot of that too, where the families will either just downsizing themselves or moving or cleaning out a parent's house or something like that. They can handle a lot of the small stuff, and they'll even rent a dumpster sometimes. Sometimes we do it all. Sometimes, they take action of it, but we come in at the end of a lot of things for all the big stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's the hardest part about all of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have some clients that just call us their heavies,
Right. They'll take care of the small items, but you're lugging the big ones out.
Yep,
right?
you got it.
Yep. Now, do you ever, I know that like donation centers and such, there's a variety of ones for what things people take and such. But when you're walking through a house, do you ever come across, interesting items that they say they didn't think it was worth anything, and you have to kind of pause them and say, where do you guys look stuff? Do you look stuff up for people to say, hey, this is where you could take it, or you wanted to throw this out, maybe this wasn't such a good idea?
Sure, yeah, that's a good question. We get that all the time. When we're going through doing a house clean out, first when we're doing a walkthrough, we keep an eye out for that kind of stuff. You know, we both got a pretty good eye for things that may or may not be worth a few bucks. You know, I watch
Antiques Roadshow, right?
Yeah, I watch a lot of American Pickers in my spare
there you
time.
go,
You know,
yeah.
so you know, we've got a little bit of a base knowledge of that. So when we're doing our initial walkthrough, a lot of times we'll just call that kind of stuff out to them and say, hey, listen, you know, this may be worth money, this may be worth money, this may be worth money. Like once we load it up and it's in our truck, like what we kind of do with it and where we take it, you know, like that's on us. But if we can add value to our customer and tell them, hey, throw this on Facebook Marketplace for $20, like you might get some money for it. We definitely let the customers know about that. And we come across stuff all the time when we're doing clean outs, you know, like, you know, when you're going through mom and dad's house, you don't know that they, you know, hid envelopes of money in the back of their filing cabinet. You might not know that they have family pictures that you might want to keep buried somewhere. So we'll stop in the middle and we'll set all that stuff aside and say, hey, to look at this stuff, what do you want to do with it? And then we handle it afterwards. But I think that's important in our industry is, you know, we're going into people's homes and we're helping them manage through difficult times in their lives, and being understanding to that and empathetic to that. And making sure that they wind up having the best experience possible. That's high on our list. You know, we're ingrained in the community. You know, we've been through tough situations before, and we know what it means to have a little bit of that weight lifted.
Yeah.
Right.
I love that personal connection, and because we are just people, and here in Livingston, I mean, we're a community,
Yeah.
and everybody looks out for one another.
Right, because
Absolutely.
it's such a different situation where you're going into someone's house and it's their house and their stuff versus the parents' stuff. And we've been through some houses that are pretty packed where, you know, the people, they're not even sure what's in the room anymore.
Right. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And yeah, a lot of time, I mean, we come across situations too where the person's hiring us is the child of the person whose house we're cleaning out, and they're living in California. Like, they're not even there to look at the stuff, you know. So it's really important that we can have a good, transparent communication with our customer in those situations too, because those are, with distance, is challenging to deal with too, as well.
Yeah, and we'll call out with those type of people that can't be there, or maybe they just haven't got to go through everything. Like, is there what do you want us to pull out if we find it? Do you care about pictures? Some people do, some people don't. You want us to pull out family pictures? You know, is there any items you're looking for that you didn't find when you were going through, or, you know, that you want us to keep an eye out for, and we can set those aside?
There always used to be a treasure map.
Yeah.
You know, I imagine you probably find some really interesting and unusual things. You know, is there anything that stands out?
No gold bars yet.
Okay.
We do come across quite a few creepy dolls. So if you check
Okay.
out our social media, we tend to post those, make some fun posts with them.
We get
But
those in
they're-
showings sometimes
Yeah.
ourselves.
Yeah, maybe turn that around when they're showing,
Yeah,
showing the house.
yeah.
Right.
But there's some just pretty unique things, nothing like super crazy. We did haul off a trebuchet
Yeah, that was
that,
pretty cool.
that a
Ooh.
family had actually won a couple of the Howell Melon Fest melon chunking competitions with. So we have that in storage. It hasn't been put together yet, but
Yeah. Sometimes
You
we
might
keep
get
things
bored.
if they're cool like that.
Yes,
You know, a
yes.
trebuchet. Okay,
Yeah.
if we get to go into the Melon Festival and they do that chunking contest again, that one might come out of storage. So.
There you go. Now, are there any items that you can't take or are, you know, limited that are difficult?
Yeah. So like we don't handle like hazardous chemicals, flammables, and that sort of stuff. We don't have a hazmat certification, so we're really not allowed to haul that kind of stuff. But we always give our customer an option on what they can do with it, because we're commercial, but as a resident, you can put stuff like that in your car and take it up to the county or take it to a place to have it handled. So we try to give a solution for that sort of stuff. And when things are heavy, it usually just like if things are big, bulky, or more difficult than what just the two of us can handle with our arms and backs, then a lot of time we can rent and bring in equipment to handle it too. It just, you know, the price goes up.
Right.
It makes sense, you know.
yeah,
but at
we
least
recently
it
did a property with what we took 2 boats and trailers, a snowmobile, an engine, some truck toppers. So we had brought in a Bobcat for that and kind of hauled. It was all away in the back of a property. So
Right.
Yeah.
brought in that to haul
We had to
all
pull
that
it
off.
about a quarter mile up to the front.
Wow.
Goodness. Any hoarders that
Sure.
you clean out too? And
Yeah, we come across those situations a lot. You know, those are really challenging situations to deal with, both for the family and for the individual that, you know, is engaged in the hoarding. So those are usually touchy situations, and we try to be very patient and empathetic with them. But a lot of times, if it's a full house, you know, I mean, we've come across it where, you know, it's just stuff piled up to your knees and whatnot. So, those are what we call shovel and garbage can jobs.
Yeah.
Right. No, that can be unfortunate and such. And I mean, thankfully not in the era we're in with real estate now, but I know 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there was a lot more in foreclosures and people just turning in their houses or, houses flooding because of water getting turned off and such. So, it's nice for you guys to be able to come in and help people where they're at with what they have going on in the house. Because, like you said, it can be an emotional situation, but a lot of times it's just such a relief because most people have no idea where to start, and the job seems bigger to them than what it is. And when we talk to our clients, it's more emotional because, if I go to clean out a room, I'm looking at every single item. There's a personal connection to everything, where for you guys, it's, hey, the room needs to get cleaned out.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't have sentiment attached to any of that. So it is easier, even if they're there, just to, have someone else doing the handling of it and stuff like that.
Right.
And to kind of guide the process through. It's actually pretty surprising, at least to me, when we started this, we were just kind of looking for an industry that we thought we could bring value to and somehow we could bring value to our community. But really, this makes a big difference in people's lives, a lot more than we ever really expected it
Absolutely.
to. So that's kind of cool. And coming from the backgrounds we did, it's kind of cool to have people happy to see us when we get there.
Right.
We're making a
Right.
difference and people are happy with what we're doing. So it's nice when you're doing work that people appreciate.
Right.
Well, it's important because at that point in time, they realize that this is beyond them, right? And as people discover the limitations, knowing that you guys can come in and you're professional and you're local and family owned, I could see where the relief would come.
And it helps just to get the ball rolling too. Like you said, can be so overwhelming getting started. Where do I start? And once we start making progress and you see the amount of stuff going down and the space freeing up and that kind of stress level coming down, it's a lot easier to go to the next room and to the next
Right.
room and really, finish that out.
Yep. So what's the most common item you guys get called for?
We were talking about this. It has to be couches. I mean, we handle so many couches like every single week. Although recently, the past 2-3 weeks, it's hot tubs.
We've done so many hot tubs this week or in the last month. So
Yeah, I think we've got 6 or 7 that we've done just in the past few weeks.
we're going to do one when we leave here.
Yeah. So what do you guys do with the hot tubs?
Yeah, where is the hot tub graveyard?
Yeah, I mean, hot tubs ultimately, other than the recyclable parts of them, so there's parts underneath the hot tub like the motor and stuff like that that are metals that can be recycled and reclaimed. But the rest of it ultimately goes to the landfill. It's all pretty much garbage and waste. And how we handle them, it just depends on the hot tub and access to the hot tub. So a lot of times, if it's like a 4-person and it's light enough, we can cut the motors out and we can get them up on their side and we take them out whole if we can. But if we can't take them out whole, then we have sawzalls and they get cut into pieces and we take them out in pieces and then we clean up the mess behind us. So.
Oh, wow. Now, did they ever call you up with fully functioning hot tub and say, I just don't want it anymore and nobody wants to take it?
Yeah, that happens sometimes too, and it's kind of sad when it does. I mean, and you can apply that to things other than hot tubs too. Like we come across stuff that's new, functional, nothing wrong with it, that people just don't want or they don't have room for and whatnot all the time. So we'll first recommend to them, hey, do you have a way to get rid of it? Like, can you list it on Facebook Marketplace? Can you do something with it?
Find a home for it.
Or can you call up Habitat for Humanity? They can come and pick things up right at your house for you too, if you want to do donations and it's something that they need. If that doesn't happen, then if we have a place that we can go and take it right away, we'll definitely do that. But we're still a pretty small business. We don't have a warehouse or anything yet. So, our game is we need to get in our trailer and out of our trailer quickly. So if we can't find some place nearby that's going to be able to take it for a donation, then unfortunately it lands in the landfill.
Got you. Yep. Any pianos that you had to move yet?
Oh, we don't like.
You don't like?
we don't like piano.
No, I can understand that. We had a piano before we moved, and finding someone that wanted to take the piano was difficult. So I mean, and that's a sad situation too, because I've heard that those are hard to find someplace that wants to take them.
They are.
Yeah, they're big and there's less people playing them these days. They're less popular instruments and they're big, they're heavy, they're hard for people to come get.
Right.
We've handled our fair share of them, and as a result of which, Duncan Chiropractic has a new customer. I tweaked my back a little bit on one, not too far back. So, We're kind of debating if we're going to be handling them going forward or not. If we do, it's probably going to be a situation where the customer needs to be comfortable with us cutting up into the pieces in their house, because I don't want to be taking them out whole anymore.
Right. No, that makes perfect sense. We certainly, even for us to have it to begin with, is he came home from a garage sale and said, I can't even believe it. She was giving it away for free.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah, should have been our first clue.
I'm very lucky to have a friend that used to do strongest man competitions.
Oh, there you go. That's a good resource.
He came over and just lifted half of it up, no problem. And I thought I was going to have a hernia just trying to have the other half acknowledge my existence.
They rolled it through the neighborhood. So
We'll have to get his number.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and then I know you mentioned Jen Ling with Regenerate, that we've had her on the podcast before too, so you guys have worked with her by the sounds of it.
Yep, we've done a few jobs with her. She's a great resource for organizing in the county. We work with a couple other, companies that do similar type of stuff that she does, and I mean that's the big thing when you're organizing stuff. It's more than just shuffling it around, right?
Exactly.
There's clutter you're clearing, piece of old furniture clearing to make room for the new storage. So there's almost always, some stuff that has to leave when you're going through that process. So
yeah.
Right.
It's all intertwined, right? That there's a lot of great people that are available depending on what service it is.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I know that every situation is unique. Everyone has, small items to like a full house, but people out there, they have no idea how much something like this costs. Mm-hmm. Can you guys even share an idea or range of hey, what are people looking at when they call up?
Sure. So asterisk, this is our 22 pricing. So
okay.
Inflation and things, it may change in the future. But to give you an idea of what something like this costs, so we run around with 15 cubic yard dump trailers. So to give everybody an idea of how big 15 cubic yards is, I'll give you two examples. One is it's 14 foot long, 7 foot wide, 4 foot tall. Another way to look at it is 1 cubic yard is roughly the size of a residential washing machine, so we can fit about 15 residential washing machines in it. Now, as long as we price based on quantity of what's removed and difficulty of removal. So as long as we're not having to climb multiple flights of stairs or go a quarter mile back onto your property to get things, that would be easy difficulty of removal. And if it's easy to remove and we fill our trailer 100% up, so all 15 cubic yards to the top, we charge $675, and that includes us coming into your home. You don't have to touch anything. We'll come into your bedroom, your living room, whatever. You point at what you want gone, we'll get it out of there for you. We do all the loading, we do all the hauling, we get it to where it needs to be at the end of the day. And if you don't wind up filling our whole trailer, then we only charge you for how much space in our trailer you take up. So some days we wind up going to one place and we take 4 trailers out of one place. Some days we go to 5 different places and we fill up one trailer at 5 different places. So that's why we just charge on quantity, because it's not fair for you to have to pay $675 when we're just picking up a mattress and a couch for you or something,
Right. No, that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that is really good. And, having rented a dumpster a few times, that's a really good price, because when we had the dumpster in our yard, you're spending, anywhere between $200 and $400 depending on the dumpster you're getting and how long it's at your house.
Close to that 400.
Close to that 400.
Maybe more.
But it's your back as well. I'll be just 100% honest.
It's your time.
Your time is so valuable, and then having someone come in that's a professional that's able to get the stuff out, fill it up, and then oh my gosh, it's gone. The driveway's clear, and I'm not dealing with this. It's a great weight off your shoulders.
Spend so much money anyway. Do you really want to be the one to do it? Hire you guys, and it's one-stop shop, and especially to for the fact that you only charge people for what work you're doing.
Exactly, 100%.
A flat charge.
Yeah, it's customized to every customer, and I think that a lot of our customers, we'll have folks that'll maybe balk at the price a little bit up front, but once they meet us and they see how we work and they understand the value that we're bringing back to them in terms of time, and what I always tell people too about dumpsters is, they're great, but you're not saving a ton of money on them.
No, you're not.
You're really not.
2 is they drop it in your driveway, and maybe it's going to be picked up in 3 days when they say. It might be you sit there for a week or 2 that you're contending with it, and 3 is a lot of those dumpsters, they go right down on your yard or your driveway. They can scar up your driveway. They can mess up your yard.
We've seen them crack.
Yeah, we have wheeled dumpsters. It's rubber wheeled. We can get them into a whole lot of different places, and as soon as we're done, they're gone. You don't have to deal with the ugly thing sitting in your driveway all the time.
Right. And I think the aspect of not knowing what you're getting yourself into. I've talked to people who were starting to clear out their house and they got the dumpster, And then, 2 hours into starting to do it, they're like, what have I gotten myself into?
Yeah, especially basement. I mean, basement cleanouts, attic cleanouts.
Right.
Most people aren't up and down the stairs, 100 times a day.
True.
And so you start carrying, those pieces of furniture or the heavy boxes up and down the stairs after a while. You're going, and the dumpster's not even, halfway full yet.
Right.
Yeah, we get a lot of calls from folks that start a project that way, and then we wind up finishing it for them.
I can understand that as well. Yeah. We've learned that no matter how big or small your house is, you will fill up that house. When it's time to clear it out, you don't realize how much you put into it.
Yeah, absolutely. The more space you have, the more stuff you will accumulate. That's for sure.
Now, here's a question. How often are you called upon to clear out a storage unit? Because it seems like a lot of people with a lot of stuff sometimes will, just shift it off to a storage unit, and then goodness knows what happens to it from there.
Yeah, we do a handful of storage units. And a lot of times storage units are a lot like a basement. It's where stuff goes to die. It's not super important. It's out of sight, out of mind. And we're a very materialistic society, consumerist society, where everybody just buys. But a lot of times the stuff that's being replaced, old electronics, furniture, it's like, well, it's still in good shape. I'd hate to get rid of it, and it gets put in the basement. Oh, well, and then it just piles on top of it.
Right.
And once a pile starts, or a room starts being filled with stuff like that, it's just an invitation to put more stuff in there. So
Right.
It's nice when you put it in the basement until the mice got in it, and then, here we are.
Right. This is very true. The 8-track player that can't play anymore, and the phones that don't have any place to plug into.
Mm-hmm.
So,
In terms of electronics, you probably see a lot of that too. Some of these old electronics, I know Mike, you had made mention of in terms of the big tube TVs, that's kind of a different process too.
Yeah, I mean, we come across electronics all the time, and that's where we work with recyclers in different places to take care of them. So it's just a matter of knowing where you need to take it and what they're going to do with it. But almost all of the electronics that we come across can be recycled in some way. So we've got, outside of our trailer, we've got the back of the F-350 is caged in. If you guys see us around town, you'll see the big wood sides we have on the back of it, and that's for us to pull that kind of stuff out, not put it in the dumpster, and so that we can make sure that I don't get to the recycler for a couple of days, well, I've got a spot to keep it until I get there.
wonderful.
and especially with electronics, there's a lot of good stuff in electronics to be able to be recycled, but there's a lot of bad stuff too, especially in the older electronics. So getting it to a recycler, make sure that they not only get the valuable stuff out of there that can be reused, that we don't have to, remine for, can make into new things, but it's also taking care of those bad things, especially in like tube TVs and things like that, in a responsible way. It's not just sitting in the landfill.
Right.
Well, folks don't realize too, things like, refrigerators, freezers, dehumidifiers, like they have compressors and freon and stuff in them, and that needs to be reclaimed properly. And if you don't, venting, it's not legal, so some folks do that. We do not do that. It goes to a recycler, it gets vented appropriately, it gets recycled appropriately, so that might be why we cost $10 more than Johnny down the street,
Right.
Yeah, this is true. Well, and to know that you're going to do it right, that you're professionals, I think not enough can be said of that.
Absolutely.
Right, and that's going back to when we were looking at what to do as a startup. It's just an area that we can definitely bring professionalism and another, set of skills to an industry that a lot of people might not think that highly of, or think we're just a guy in a rusty truck that's picking up scrap.
Right.
That's not the case.
That's not it at all.
Right.
It's true. Now, with each of our guests, I always like to ask, what's your favorite thing about Livingston?
For me, honestly, it's twofold. One is just like the diversity of things to do around here. You drive 5 miles in one direction, you've got good shopping. 5 miles in another direction. For me, being an outdoorsman, I'm out in the woods. You got everything that you need here. And two is just the sense of community around here. This is a tight-knit area. Everybody knows everybody. Me coming from a larger corporate world and getting more ingrained into this, I just love that I can go out and meet people and talk with people, and ultimately we become friends with our customers, and that's something I think is kind of unique to the area too, is once you get to know somebody, like we have people that honk their horn at us and wave at us all the time. And I bump into people at the grocery store, at the hardware store that we've done jobs for, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you got to come over and have a beer." Like that's what I love about it, because that's the kind of community that we live in. And I think in a time where division is highlighted, like coming together and just being a community, it means an awful lot.
Yeah, I got to follow that up now. So recently, my wife and I just moved to Brighton from the Whitmore Lake area the end of the year. So still in the same area, but now that we're closer and actually in Brighton, we've been coming downtown a lot more, downtown Brighton. I don't know, for the last month or so, Sunday's kind of been our day to regroup. It's kind of, we're resetting for the week. I have a 3.5-year-old daughter and a 1-year-old son. So we've been actually like going downtown, getting a bite to eat, and then going down to Imagination Station, the playground down there, and letting the kids have some fun, burn off some energy. Lots of great shops and stuff down there. It's been a really cool area. They've had some events at the amphitheater out there. Just fun. A lot of people out and about, like talking and interacting. It's refreshing. Coming from some of the other places I've been at where everybody's just like on their own.
Yeah.
Right. No, downtown has a really good vibe, and there's always something going on.
Great events. We had Thaddeus on to talk about Taste of Brighton too.
Yeah, that's coming up here soon.
Coming up in July.
Yep.
And, but yeah, there's just, and like you said, with the Imagination Station, I mean, that's such a big part of Brighton and what it is, and for those with kids. And
yep, kids, and we bring our dog out too, so it's nice. We just all can get out, nice areas, nice parks, friendly people. It's great.
Wonderful.
So neat. Everybody has a different answer, basically. Like there's so many awesome things about Livingston County, and so that's why I love asking everybody.
Yep. It's a great area to be, that's for sure.
100%. So if someone was listening to this is like, hey, I've got some stuff that needs to be pulled out. I want someone to clean up my house. How do they get a hold of you guys?
Yeah, any number of avenues. You can hit our website, www.mittenjunkremoval.com. We're on Google My Business, and you can reach out to us through our GMB page. We're on Facebook, so you can check us out and check everything out about us. We've got some reviews on Facebook. We also got some good Google reviews out there if you want to check that out. We are on Yelp and Instagram, or you can just call us at 734-648-5865 or text us at that number. So we try to meet our customers wherever they're comfortable communicating. We know everybody likes to communicate in different ways, so whatever is comfortable for you, we'll be there for you.
And we'll make sure to put that in the show notes, so that way for those looking at it, there's easy ways to reach out to you.
And I think everyone has stuff in their garage, in their basement, in their attic that they're like, yeah, I put it there so I didn't have to see it anymore. Mm-hmm. But maybe it's time to empty out some space in your house.
Get it done, right?
Right?
No time like the present.
Absolutely.
Yes. So thank you guys for coming on today. We really appreciate it. We learned a lot. Did you have any other?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Is there anything else that you guys want to make sure to share?
I don't think so. We've
I
covered
think I'm good.
quite a bit.
We're pretty robust.
Yeah, we really appreciate you having us on, though. This has been great, and it was exciting. It's been exciting just to meet you, and to we're in some referral groups and whatnot, and meeting all the great people around here has been energizing for us as a new company. So
absolutely, small business.
Awesome.
We love promoting small business.
100%. So for all of you people out there, please reach out to them. Check them out on Instagram, on Facebook, and consider them for all of your items that you need to be removed out of your house. And check out our other episodes on Spotify.
Apple Podcast.
Yep. You can just Google Welcome to Livingston Podcast or Welcome to Livingston.
Facebook too. Like and subscribe.
100%. So if you're on our website, you can go check us out for real estate, or you can go right over to the podcast and check out all the previous episodes. So thank you so much for listening today, and welcome to Livingston.